To start off this look, I'm going to run through my foundation routine really quick for those of you who haven't seen the video already. So I started off with a mattifying primer, working this through the center of my face. I then used an illuminating primer around the edge of my face, and once that's all blended in, I went in with my concealer. So the concealer that I'm using today is actually a neutralizing one. I was really impressed with it. I haven't used it in a while and I actually love this. And I use this wherever I need the most coverage, blended it out with my fingertips, and then I went in with one of my brushes. Check out the discount code below. And I'm going to be using the F20 to blend out that concealer just that little bit more and then move on to foundation. I use a mixture of two different types of foundation just to get the coverage that I want. And I just apply this on the back of my hand and then buffed this into the skin using stippling motions and buffing motions. And once a liquid foundation is on, I then went in and set it with a powder foundation. So if you apply a liquid and then a powder over the top, you're going to get full coverage. It's really long lasting and it's a great little trick for beginners because honestly, your application is going to look flawless. Now moving on to contour, I'm going to be using my tapered powder brush and a little bit of Hoola bronzer. And I worked this in the 1, 2, 3 swipe, so working around the hairline, across the cheeks, and then onto the jawline. Then take a little bit more just on the tip of the actual brush and work this into the hollow of the cheeks. Then use whatever's left over in the brush just on the tip of the nose and just underneath the lip as well. Now baking is next, and the reason I'm going to be baking here is to catch any fallout underneath the eyes, but also to sharpen up our contour. So now that you've caught up and looking super cool, let's move on to the eyes. So I'm going to be using 4 brushes to create this eye makeup look, and I'm going to be using the Cherry palette. So this is by Urban Decay. It's like a purpley toned palette. We're going to start off with Hot Spot, which is the lightest shade of the palette, and just apply this all over the lid. We're then going to take the shade Feels. I'm going to be using my applying brush for this one. So this is the EO1. It's somewhere between a blending brush and a pencil brush, but it applies like a flat brush, which is why I love it so much. And you're applying with one brush, but then you're blending it with another. So I have a clean blending brush, which has a slightly longer handle. So as I'm applying, I'm going to take the lower part of the handle and start to blend it out. And this will give you a really soft finish. So keep those 2 brushes handy, and we're going to move on to this deep purple shade, and we're going to apply this with that small blending brush just in the outer third of the eye and then working deeper into the crease. And remember to take that clean blending brush and just soften out any harsh lines. We're then going to take the shade Juicy, and this is what I refer to as the fade shade. So apply a very small amount of it right where the crease area and the brow bone meet, ever so slightly touching the skin, and it just makes such a difference. Then I'm going to take the shade Turn On, and I'm going to apply this right on that inner third of the lid. So you're almost like doing a cut crease, but using shimmer to cut it, so it's a softer cut crease. So just applying that in the inner third, blending out to the halfway point of the lid. Then take the shade Ambitious and apply this on the outer third of the lid, making sure to then meet up in the middle with Turn On. Concentrating Ambitious mostly on that outer corner. And as always, take your blending brush and soften any harsh lines. Mascara is next, and I also wanted to apply some falsies. Unfortunately, I had to use just regular tweezers because I don't know where my really nice applicator is. I'm sure I'll find it. So I applied my false eyelashes underneath. So I apply a little bit of glue and I actually attach the fake lashes with my natural lashes. So not on the lash line or anything like that. You're attaching lash to lash. And I apply in the center and then I attach the outer and the inner corner. And sometimes it applies really well and just sometimes it doesn't. Finish off with lots of mascara just to make sure there's no glue residue that could drop down, and try not to poke yourself in the eye. And for fun, I decided that I would apply lower lashes, which was a really big disaster, but I'm going to show you anyway. First of all, I couldn't remember how to apply lower lashes because it's been a while. And then when I actually ended up applying them, I did not like the way they looked. They kind of ended up looking a bit Clockwork Orangey. So after all of that work, I ended up taking them off and just applying lots of mascara on my lower lashes instead. Once your mascara is on, you can then brush off any of that baking powder, and this will also lift any fallout while keeping the skin nice and clean and sharp. But if you are worried about having a lot of powder on your skin, I would recommend using a setting spray, and this will give your skin that little bit more of a skin-like texture again. For a highlighter, I'm going to be using this one by Benefit and my fan brush. I'm a big fan of this brush. To intensify the look of the highlighter, I like to spritz my skin, and while it's still slightly wet, I go ahead and apply the highlighter. Sometimes it can look a little bit patchy, but most of the time it looks pretty good. Blush is next, and I went for something that's going to work with the eyes, so it almost has like a cherry peachy undertone. And of course, I'm using the F41, which is one of my favorite blush brushes ever. And then for the lips, I wanted to go for something a little bold because the eyes are quite neutral. So I went for this cherry purpley red tone lipstick. And there you go, a super easy look using the cherry palette. I would love to see you guys recreate this, and if you do, definitely tag me. It's at SchneidyKatie, and I will see you guys in the next one.